state of emergency signed into law on June 16th, 2021. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. People who wish to watch or participate in the meeting may do so by finding the meeting at www.southboroughtown.com/remote meetings. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
First item on the agenda, I would like to welcome Mr. Healy to our board. Shopc.
Thank you, Dorian. I don't even know, who am I replacing? Who dropped
Chelsea.
out?
Chelsea
Okay.
Malinowski,
Well,
yes.
she's got a lot on her plate.
So Marty is our Board of Selectmen representative now, so. And then my next item on the agenda, which is the first item, we need to appoint a new member from Shopc to the Community Preservation Committee. And I'm going to nominate Mr. Healy to do that position. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Welcome to the committee and
Hey, you know what, Marty? I move my meetings. We don't waste time. We're just gonna go. So,
all right.
any discussion, or Marty, would you like to have it? Do you have anything to say about that nomination?
No, and the one thing I'll say is Dorian emailed me last week and suggested the possibility, and I checked with Mark Purple to make sure that a Board of Selectmen member can be a Shopc designee to CPC, just because there are some requirements. It's weird. It precludes the Board of Selectmen from being an at-large member, but not a committee member. So anyway, so I cleared that up. So legally, it's a green light.
So you can't be an at-large, but you can be a committee member.
Right.
Yeah, because he's representing Shopc there. He's not representing Board of Selectmen or.
I think what they want, John, is that the selectmen not pack the CPC with Board of Selectmen members. I think that's the reason for the requirement, because the at-large members are appointed by the Board of Selectmen.
Gotcha.
Dorian, can I just point out that just want to note on the Shopc website page, you are not listed under membership, and then they also have to add Marty now. Just so you know, might want to touch base.
Who's not listed?
You're not listed as one of the members under Shopc.
Okay, well, that's good. Bye, guys.
There's only 5 people listed. Well, that, yeah, you know, just a formality.
That's weird because I was there, so I don't know what happened there.
Okay.
All right, we'll take care of that. Little housekeeping. All right, any other discussion about Marty taking my place on CPC? Because I have stepped down.
I'm sorry, who seconded the motion, Dorian? I'm sorry to interrupt.
John
Okay,
did.
thanks. Sorry, guys.
All right, no discussion. All those in favor, Marty being the Shopc representative to the CPC? It's a roll call vote. John Wood?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Marty? Oh, you can't do your own.
Well, I can, but I'll recuse. So.
Okay, and Dorian is a yes. Okay, Marty, congratulations. Okay.
Any other appointments before I resign?
No. And that's actually not that bad of a spot to be in. So I don't think it'll pull your hair out much, maybe a little. No, it's a good group. It's a real good group of people. So I think you'll enjoy it. Okay, Master Plan Committee update, Tom.
Yes, thank you. So we got some feedback from the Master Planning Committee, particularly around that last goal that we had. And if I could share my screen, I will bring it up. Oh, actually, I can share my screen. Thank you.
Yeah,
oh, disabled.
Oh, let's see. Okay, you're all set now. Should. Perfect.
All right, so if you can see my, I'm not sure if everybody can see my color coordination. The green right here, that I don't know if you can see my cursor. The new goal 5 seems a little thin on the background. Are there additional recommendations that need to occur after the inventory is complete in order to increase a moderate, this is affordable housing. This is not low income, or I hate to use the word low income, but this is for, I think Tom, I wish Tom was here, Tom B. He's the one that suggested we add a goal to increase our moderate affordable housing. In other words, it's not low income housing. It's not the high end housing. It's just we'll call it average housing. So in black is the only goal recommendations we had on that is the inventory, the number of units created. So that's a go forward. So in the red, 5.2, I added something around here, and the wording will definitely need to be adjusted or changed, is I think we need to inventory the number of unit that fits the, I think it's CAGI, the aggregate, Sarah, help me out with that. Remember we talked about this, it's 60% of your income should be
Yes.
dedicated to housing, whatever the percentage.
Yes.
And that's why I said
Yep.
down here what it's, I need help with you. But I think the essence of this line right here, 5.2, is to say, well, let's inventory the number of units created, but we have to know where we are to go where we're gonna be. So when I say that is, there is a number of whatever income you have, there's a formula. I don't think we should use the Worcester County formula because basically there's nothing in Southborough that fits that. But give the Metro West number of income, the amount of income you have, times the percentage that they say is for your housing needs. And I think that's either 40 or 60%. That can, then we could do a formula for what the selling price of the house is. And then we know the affordability range. Does that make sense? A little bit long-winded, but I want to find out the inventory of our houses in the town that fits that cost and below. And then that should really stick out of how much is a moderate affordable housing. So that was long-winded. That's my intent for 5.2.
This
Discussion?
is not, you're not referring to the DHCD, the 10% that we have to do. This is more of the moderate price housing we have in town. You want to know how much we have in town versus the others, or just this
Yep.
category?
Just this category, because this category, this goal is to increase the moderate affordable. So the intent for 5.2 is how much of town is a moderate affordable to your average person? I'm making this up. Say they make $100,000, the family income's $100,000 a year, and they can afford whatever the percentage is. And Sarah and I will work on this later. Say 40% of your income is for housing. That means that's $40,000 a year they can spend.
It's 30%.
30%.
Emma just answered us. Thank you, Emma.
Yep.
Do you want to bring Emma in?
Yeah, we can. Yes, it is 30%. So if, anything between 30 and 50 is considered cost burdened, so you don't want people to be creeping past 30% for their aggregate cost of living. So, and then when we talk about moderate affordability, or at least, what, Tom has alluded to, not Tom M, but Tom Basickle, is really talking about that income range of, 80% AMI, kind of that sort of 70 to 80% AMI, that kind of higher income range. Folks who are working, like Tom said, making, $100,000 a year, maybe, even $150,000 a year household annual income, and still having, trouble, gaining access to housing.
Or just if there's any that fit that in the town of Southborough, and how much of it? you,
Right.
Sarah.
So I think that, what we'd like to know is, people who are earning, at that level, if they're earning, between 50 and 80%, or if they're earning even 90% AMI, what do those homes look like? What is their accessibility range? Because it's not, a $2.5 million house, so what is the number there for folks in Southborough, in terms of their earning capacity versus their buying potential in the market.
So that's the essence of the 5.2.
Okay.
Any questions, or I guess we'll open up for debate. For a goal of the moderate affordable, is that a relevant information? Is that should be a goal? Oh, Jesse has a hand up. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, so, I mean, moderate is a HUD census tract. Low income and moderate income are both, that's defined
Yes.
already.
Yes.
So
Mhm.
it just didn't seem clear to me you were actually, this was actually following that guideline.
I don't think that this necessarily has been used, this term in this capacity has been used to follow that guideline. But I agree, Jesse, we should be very clear as to what income range we're trying to target. Because my understanding of this discussion with this group previously is that it's really trying to hit around 80% AMI, and not getting up into the 90, 100, 110 is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I felt like that was where people were really trying to kind of focus, and maybe even like, again, a little lower, sort of dipping down towards the 50 to 80% range. So if I'm wrong, I'd like to, understand better where the group is trying to go.
Emma has her hand raised.
Hi. Nice to meet everybody. I'll just chime in real quick here. I think it's important to think about what units are, the deed restriction, because obviously something could be moderately affordable now, but if it's not deed restricted, that's totally, can fluctuate with the market. But it can give you, doing this could give you kind of a sense of the situation, even if it's not something, meeting the HUD definition. But, if you want to build towards your SHI, it would have to be under 80%.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. The intent of this was not to put any deed restriction, but to give a snapshot of the community, the moderate affordability. Yes, if they buy a small house and over the next 10 years made additions, and it doesn't fit that when they resell it eventually, or if they resell it eventually, yeah, that drops off of that list. The intent of that 5.2 in my mind was to let us know how much of the town, how many existing units fit that today. So that when, maybe when a builder comes in and says, look, this town is craving that affordable housing, maybe we should rethink, instead of making like I said, $1 million houses or whatever, $900,000 houses, let's think about redesigning our development to make more of these affordable ones, more transactions. And again, this is just information. I'm not saying we're going to encourage builders to do that, but if they don't know that we have a low inventory of these type of houses, then why would they even think about doing it? Marty, you have a finger up.
Yeah. Hey, Tom. This is just a language question. Look at it 5.1 to start off, where it says the inventory, the number of units created. Is that historically, is that looking backward, or is that looking forward, or is it both?
I think this was back when we had this was looking forward. And the next, again, during this master plan, inventory, the number of units created in the next, during this master plan time period.
Okay.
We could say going forward.
And we can round that out, or in the next 10 years, if you want to give it like a timeline. The master plan's about.
Okay. When I read it, what just wasn't clear to me, which
No,
way
that
it was
makes
going.
sense.
And it's kind of the same question with 5.2.
5.2 is butchered. That's going to be completely rewritten. Like I said, I just want to put an essence there.
Okay, but is the same question, is it going to be, in other words, is it just going to be to create an inventory for some date certain, or is it going to be to create an inventory and maintain one going forward?
The intent of this one was the current housing, I guess we'll call it. So
Okay.
this one is historic. This This is inventory. Number 5.2 is an inventory.
Okay,
Number 5.1 is we're going to track in the next 10 years how many affordable houses we did. 5.2 is let's identify, we could switch these around maybe. Current inventory. How much fits that criteria? And I don't know if we have to keep that going forward, because
That was
both
gonna
of
be my
5.1 and 5.2 will give you that feel for it.
yeah, okay. That's it for me.
Okay, before we go any further, I just want everyone to know who Emma is. Emma Battaglia, did I say that right? Is our person from MAPC working with us on our grant. So the gentleman who started with us has left, and Emma is our new contact. So she will be working very closely with us for our $15,000 grant. So sorry about that. She was making comments that were relevant, so I just wanted to bring her in. That was my bad. I should have introduced her to start. So Emma, welcome.
Hello,
Welcome.
everybody. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Emma.
Okay, Tom.
Any other discussion around the 5.2? And like I said, Sarah and I will put the correct acronyms and percentages in here. And like I said, this one right here is just to give it a sense of how much in town fits that formula for affordable, moderate affordable. And the goal for this one, if you didn't read between the lines, is for your teachers, for your, I don't know, I don't want to pick on teachers, but for your teachers. To
Just
know
entry
that
level,
entry level houses,
service folks, you know what I mean? So people who are in the police department, people who are in, the fire department.
Well, it seems like what you're talking about is what we refer to as like naturally occurring affordable housing. So, it's not deed restricted, but generally, people can still afford it, but, it's obviously at the whim of the market.
yes, definitely at the whim of the market. Now, any other discussion on this 5.2? Now, do we have any other goals for, and I do wish Tom was here. This was his great idea. Any other goals for moderate affordable housing to be in the master plan?
So I'm just wondering, has there been any discussion about the fact that we're still short on the 10% of the DHCD inventory?
I believe that's probably up in the other ones. But again, this is housing. This is not all about 40B and all that. This is housing as in the town.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
dictated to a
well,
specific
that to me would be a housing, that's
part of housing.
actually
Yeah.
a
Oh, yeah, it's
housing
part.
mandate.
Yeah, out of the 10%, we're at 8.6 right now.
I think a lot of these things for the master plan dictates around how do we increase that. And I do believe we discussed these earlier.
It's just
Diverse
tougher for-
housing, zoning. Again, 4 and 5 is probably maintain housing that you live in.
Yeah, it's just tougher for us because we're such a small town and we really don't have any land. So it's not like we can build big developments. And the only thing we've been able to do in the past is, 1 or 2 units at a time. So it's a slow climb. We'll get there, but it is tougher for the smaller towns. We're not a city. We're not, we don't have a lot of land that we can build something on or project on, where we can put in 40 houses or something. So
Can I speak to that real quickly? Just an interjection to help Jesse see. On the chart, it looks like the first goal at the top of the page there, those initiatives, including the 5-year strategic financial
bigger.
plan. Yeah, I think just reading this here now, enhance local capacity to advocate for affordable housing, that goal right there kind of answers partly, I think, what Jesse was asking, that even though it doesn't specifically say subsidized housing inventory, that the plan for that transfer of funds from CPA money to the Affordable Housing Trust was to encourage affordable housing and enhance the subsidized inventory. So I think it's a lot of it is in that first goal. I could be wrong, but that's my impression there.
No, that's part of it. Like I said, this document's been around since August, I think, in this form. It's just really this last goal was the only thing that when the master plan committee met was to add some more meat around this, the recommendations. Hey, Alex.
When I've shown on rare occasion properties in towns that have this covenant, we're told the applicant must earn so many, no more than so many thousands of dollars a year. How does anyone know? We don't really need to know this now, but does anyone know who and how this is calculated? Because it becomes a real, not issue, but you need to know how when to tell people they're earning too much to apply to live there.
No, it's not to apply. This is nothing to do about applying and having the right because you have an income. This is to identify almost like the housing, I hate to use it, the housing demographics of the town. We're goaling on this is the moderate affordable housing. Has nothing to do with how much money you earn. Maybe, like Sarah said earlier, it's based off of, and I forgot their acronyms again. AMI, thank you. And the percentage of your AMI dictates, again, the recommendation of how much house you can comfortably afford. With that in mind, how many houses actually in Southborough fit that someone making X amount of dollars can afford to live in this town based off of those guidelines? If you want to overpay for a house, you can go that. If you want to underpay for a house and luckily you get it, that's perfectly fine. This is more of an informational goal to see what we can do around this moderate affordable.
Yeah, I think the goal is to sort of get a snapshot of, like Emma had kind of referred to it as, what's the natural market look like? What is the current natural market look like for this type of buying, and, the assumption is that it's getting harder, right, to buy at this level in the natural market sense. And then, kind of that supports the narrative to the community that we really need to work on preservation and deed restriction and such, because the market, isn't naturally sort of providing, for this level of income.
If you
Does this also address, sorry to interrupt, does this also address, the people who are retiring and may want to downsize? Because I know you talked about, people first time buyers, but also on the other end, people who want to stay in Southborough who can't afford to.
Yep.
Exactly.
That also gives you to that. So say like say me, I'm going to give me an example. I've been here for 23 years. I'm a prime candidate to downsize. The kids are all gone. Yay. And I want to stay in the town because I love all you people and I love seeing you all. And I find out that there's only really like 20 houses that I want to downsize to in town that fit that criteria. You know what? My search area has to then increase to the neighboring towns. So that definitely fits, Karina, that definitely fits into that. I see 5 to be more of an informational thing for the master plan. It's really giving people the knowledge of what's in town and what's considered affordable. All this stuff could be easily done by a realtor, I guess, and looked out every housing in the town and stuff, but it's not going to be. It's an informational thing.
Yeah, but this is for master plan. This is just to get an overall picture of the housing that the town of Southborough has.
Yep. We can scratch goal 5 if we don't think this is.
I think it's a good goal. I think that's a good idea. I think people need to have an idea of what's available beside a $10 million house.
Right.
Which seems to be the only thing they're building.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any other 5.3? Anything else should be aligned to this moderate affordable? And if we don't have anything right now, if it's okay, to reach out to Tom directly, since like I said, he was one of the, it was his idea for the 5.0 goal, moderate affordable. Is it all right by the committee if I reach out to Tom directly since he's not here, to discuss if he has any ideas to put another recommendation in there?
That's a great idea, Tom.
Okay. And if in the meantime, I'll update this wording with Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Circle back with Tom B, and then whatever we change, and then I'll just have Sarah email the committee with the exact wording.
Okay.
Nice
Sounds
job,
great.
Tom.
Just put you on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah.
That's right.
And hopefully it'll be the last time.
That's right.
All right. Anything else, Tom, or is?
Nope, that's it.
good? Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Thank you for your update. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Tom is not here. He's the chair of the subcommittee, so we don't have him to update us. Jesse, do you?
Yeah, sure. So where we're at with that is we're going to be bringing in a developer that I believe Joe has a contact with to give us some insights as to, from a development standpoint, what's possible at the site at 21 Highland Street. And I had gone over, thank you, Karina, for your assistance and guidance on what is currently possible for local zoning at 21 Highland from a development standpoint. And Alex, I think that about covers it. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, excuse me. That pretty much summarized it. One thing though, the people that are going to be visiting them, I put the microphone on. Oh, it's on. The people who are going to be attending are part of, I believe, correct me, the official, one of the official departments for development for the state, or I believe the town. In other words, they're not just, they're ahead of some relevant organization. So they should really be able to bring us a fair amount of, you can do this, you can't do this, with a certain amount of reliability.
That's right. Thanks for the correction, Alex. They are part of a state agency. I can't remember the name of it, but
Neither can I.
things are humming along. Physical's doing a great job as chair. And we are putting together, some options as part of the process.
Jesse, you mentioned a Joe. Who are you referring to? For my sake, I'm sorry.
So
Yeah,
Master
that's-
Plan Committee, Joe Palmer.
Thank
Oh,
you.
okay, okay, Joe Palmer, excellent.
Need more coffee. Thank you.
Okay. That it on the subcommittee for South Union for now? Okay, Sarah, you have spoken with Jim Benacasa about the 40B project possibility on
did.
Parkerville. Do you
I
want to
did.
fill us in on that?
Yep, I reached out to Jim to see if he wanted to attend again to discuss those, kind of conceptual plans that he was talking about last time he was in attendance. However, he said that the sale sort of fell through and things have not worked out in that location. And so he is not going to be moving forward there, but still looking for other opportunities in Southborough, and he will keep in touch with us.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunate, but Tom, you're muted if you're trying to say something.
I was trying to say something.
I see your mouth moving.
Did he say that they decided not to sell, or did they sell to somebody else?
He wasn't didn't give a lot of detail or context,
Okay.
just said that things didn't work out at this time. So I don't know if it's that. I couldn't even speculate, honestly, and I shouldn't. So I'm not sure.
So Marty, for you, this is a piece of property. If you're heading south on Parkerville past the Finn School, it'll be on your left. There's a couple of houses on the left, and there's a big piece of property behind them that he was thinking about purchasing and doing some 40B there. He approached us.
There's a trailer right in the front of that piece.
I think it's a red trailer, if I'm correct.
Well, it's a good way to spot the lot.
Yeah.
Trailers there, so.
But he did say that he's obviously still very interested in working with this group as he moves forward.
I wonder if they sold it to someone else. There would have to be a record of that somewhere.
Mhm.
I just didn't know she knew that. There will be a record when it closes. That's public information.
Right.
I just didn't
So
know.
we can,
He said he
yeah.
lost it to somebody else.
no, he just said, not able to come to terms.
That sounds like they couldn't agree on the price.
Okay.
Okay, Affordable Housing Trust Fund 5-year plan. So there are several pieces of this discussion. Earlier, we had a lengthy discussion about this CPC funding, the $327,177 and some odd cents that are sitting in the housing bucket from 2009, 2011, and 2012. Funds were approved at town meeting. Money was sent to the CPC. It is still sitting with CPC. So after lengthy discussions with Mark Purple, CPC themselves, we were trying to get the money transferred to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund so that that money was sitting there easily available to us in case we were able to get a quick project going. If a house sold and we wanted to grab it. After speaking with Habitat for Humanity, we just had all these thoughts. So we were trying to see where our funding was and what we had to do. According to our new town attorney, the money that is in CPC that was approved for 3 years, that money is not available to be transferred to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund because of the way the warrant article was written. So CPC has control of that money. We would have to go in front of them and with a project, and they would have to approve our project, and then that money would be transferred to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That is my understanding of where that money is right now. So we cannot touch that money until we actually have a project, which kind of ties our hands to have a project. What I'm trying to do now through Mark Purple and Jay Tallerman is to figure out a way to rewrite the warrant articles so that money, when it's approved at town meeting, goes directly into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and it doesn't go through CPC and sit there. And I'm not sure how that would transpire. We'd have to talk to CPC, actually have Marty talk to CPC since he's the new rep, and try to figure out a way around that so that the money's not sitting there collecting interest with CPC and it's not working for us. The whole purpose of it going to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is they are in control of that money. And when we need a project, it's a lot easier to go to them than to do a grant and go through the whole grant process with CPC. Marty?
Before, just a technical question. I did read from Karina the response. It seems like the Affordable Housing Trust has to go to the CPC, not us. I just want to say that. So and I just wanted, the reason I'm pointing this out, it's a 2-hop jump to actually get any funds. So it's not as easy as you put it, Dorian, which is still complicated, but we got to go to the Affordable Housing Trust, and then they go to the CPC.
Right, so we'd have to come up with a project. We'd have to do the grant paperwork. We'd have to give it to the Affordable Housing Trust. They would have to go in front of CPC because the money would go to them. You are right. Thank you for the correction, Tom. Marty, did you want to?
Yeah, I mean, like an awful lot of language that's used at town meeting. This is not particularly clear. My read of it is I don't think it precludes the CPC from transferring the money right now.
They won't.
In other words, it doesn't say for a particular project. it just says under the direction of the CPC. So it just strikes me that the CPC could, under their direction, transfer the money in anticipation of a project being identified. There's nothing in the language that precludes that. And I'm happy to have a conversation with Jay Talon and see if he agrees with
Yeah,
it.
they will not transfer that money to us unless we identify a project to them. Even though the money's been approved by the town meeting, they're gonna hold on to that money. They won't transfer that money to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund until we have an actual project for them to say, that's a good project, here's the money.
Well, as a recently appointed member of the CPC, presumably that's subject to a vote of the CPC.
It is, but good luck.
Yeah.
I've had that discussion.
I have a question. My understanding was they wanted to see a plan for how the money would be spent, and that's why we were doing this work. They actually need to see a project.
They need a project. They have to, they actually have to see what we're gonna do with the money.
Again, that may be their position. That's not what is required by what town meeting approved. It's just not.
That's what I
Correct.
thought. That's what Sarah thought. I have asked and asked and asked, and this is what I have been told.
But even Jay's opinion did not address that. There's no question that
Correct.
CPC, that language in the article gives them oversight control, but it doesn't preclude them deciding that because of the interest in being able to act quickly and otherwise, that they can make the decision to transfer that money and create some other mechanism for maintaining direction or control. So that's not a discussion for here. That's something obviously that the CPC would have to authorize, but it seems like a pretty reasonable step for them to take, unless, you know, and believe me, I've seen this with my own board, but also other boards, that for some reason folks don't like to give up control of things, even if giving up that control makes perfect sense. And it just seems to me that giving up that control here would make perfect sense, because it would allow affordable housing actions to be taken without all the cumbersomeness of you know, getting the sign off from this committee and that committee, et cetera. But that's something I'll bring up with the CPC and hope they're reasonable people.
Okay, thank you, Marty. Good luck with that. But anyway, so going forward, so we have the 327,000 whatever dollars that are sitting in those buckets from 3 town meetings. We need to figure out a way to change that going forward. So Sarah and I have discussed this, where we were thinking that we could write a warrant article. We can't present a warrant article from Shopc. The Board of Selectmen would have to present that for us on our behalf, or it would have to be their warrant article. But we really need to change the wording. Somehow either change the wording on the CPC warrant articles so that the money goes directly into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund funds, the bank account. They are our oversight committee for the money, or just a general warrant article that mandates that money goes. I don't know how to do that or what the best route is, but we were just kind of discussing it. Was just throwing things out to try to figure out a way to get this to work for us, because right now it's not working for us. Our hands are tied. Somebody else is controlling the narrative and it's not us, and we need to change that. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
No,
Okay.
I think we definitely should do that, and it'll be interesting feedback from you, Marty, when you actually meet with the CPC to discuss this. Because the only thing I can see down the line, if we do this, is are we going to have a massive debate at town meeting between these 2 committees? CPC wanted to keep control, and then Shopc saying, let's just transfer the money so we're a little bit more quick and nimble.
The one thing I'll say is there's the placeholder needs to be in relatively quickly, because
I have one in.
You do, okay, all right.
I put a placeholder in.
Yes.
I sent
Also,
an email to Mark.
There was an email this morning from Mark Purple saying that the warrant for the 2022 annual town meeting will close on January 4th, 2022. And for those of you submitting placeholders, please keep in mind that articles will need to be in final form the first week in February in order to have time for council review, printing, and posting.
Mhm.
Okay.
We have the placeholder in, so there is a placeholder. But it would have to be coming from the Board of Selectmen, Marty, because Shopc can't put a warrant article in. So, but I did
I got
email
it.
Mark.
All right, I'll mention it to Lisa and I'll put something on maybe for our, we're not meeting very much in December, so maybe one of our early January agenda items, I'll have her put it on for a discussion.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you guys all have a copy of the legal opinion on that discussion. It's not really a legal opinion, it's just kind of more of a conversation. It's not an official legal opinion. Okay, and now I'm going to hand the floor over to Emma so she can talk with us about our grant and where we're at in the process and where we need to be going. Emma?
Hey, I'm actually wondering, Sarah, Karina, do you want to just sort of start it off and then I can just kind of where we're at right now, and then I'm happy to interject a little bit more.
Sure. So Emma is with us now from MAPC. She's picking up where John left off. The updated scope of work went out to everyone, so I hope everybody had an opportunity to review. The content didn't really change. We were just kind of updating those dates. We have been trying to pull together some stakeholder engagement. So we did have one meeting. Attendance is challenging even sometimes via Zoom, but we did have a really good discussion with William Sines from ADA Committee, as well as Bonnie Faniff, longtime resident and, obviously engaged board and committee member for many, many, many years. And so we're just kind of looking to continue, rolling that out, making sure that that process is getting, to folks to who need to be involved in the conversation, kind of laying the groundwork for this plan. So I think that is all of the high level points. If there's anything else, Emmy, feel like I should add, just let me know.
Just more kind of details around what we are planning for the stakeholder engagement. I'll just preface that MAPC generally, will not do a project without pretty comprehensive stakeholder engagement. It's a big part of our mission. And quite frankly, it makes a better plan. You really want to hear from the different stakeholders to understand what their challenges are and their priorities in order to, craft a plan that's actually implementable. So for this project, we have 4 focus group meetings scoped. One we've sort of already done. That's kind of the internal focus group with board and committee members generally. Then we're planning for 3 more. So one would be with like housing service providers. So somebody ideally from the housing authority or from the regional, housing organization, SMOC, sort of people fitting that description, housing advocates, kind of other than you folks. And then additional meetings would be with developers, because they're the people who would actually be creating this new housing. So we kind of need to understand what their barriers are and, what they see as opportunities. And then one with residents. So, and ideally people who, obviously you all are residents, but ideally people who would benefit from, new and diverse housing typologies. So, people who are renters here, people who might live in a housing authority property, might live in, one of the units that you all have kind of created to understand what their needs are and, how new housing can be crafted to meet their needs. So we're sort of at that point now where Sarah and I have kind of come up with a list of people that we're hoping to talk to. And just to clarify, this is just for one meeting with each of these groups, about a 90-minute meeting just to, have a conversation. And then, that will help inform the plan. You all are kind of the people that we're checking in with on a more regular basis, but this would just be a one-off with each of those groups.
Is this a Zoom meeting? So it's publicized?
So generally, it wouldn't be. The whole point of a focus group is to sort of have a meeting with, around 10 people is usually a good number. Any more than that, it's kind of hard to have a conversation. So usually these would not be public meetings. It's just kind of an internal conversation. We could do it in the evening, we could do it during the day. But, you know, assuming we don't have a bunch of members that are all on one committee, I don't think we would have any issues with open meeting law.
No, and I've spoken to Sarah about this, the group with the residents. At no point should we ever put them in a position where they feel awkward or
Oh, no.
uncomfortable, or they are singled out because they live in affordable housing.
No.
So my concern is that this is a public meeting. I would absolutely not want to have any part of calling them out and putting them in a public forum. Well, hi, we live there and this is what we want. I don't think that would be
Absolutely.
correct.
Absolutely. So these would not be public meetings.
Okay.
And, you know, especially for the residents, maybe for the other focus groups, we would want to identify who we spoke to, but for the residents, I mean, we can keep that totally anonymous.
That would have to be that, because
Yep.
I think that would be a very, very bad.
Yes. Obviously, you know,
Okay.
making them feel comfortable and
Right.
giving them a safe space to really talk about what their needs. That's the goal. Yes.
Exactly. So as long as it's not publicized and it's very private and their identities are protected, because
Yes.
I don't want anyone feeling uncomfortable. 'Cause
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea is that really none of these meetings would need to be publicized. It's not a
Okay.
public forum. We're just sort of relying on you folks to help identify who it makes sense to talk to,
Okay.
using your connections. And then, we would just reach out by email to set something up.
Okay. All right. That's a very different. Okay. I got it. Thank you, Emma.
No problem. And, some projects we do both, we have focus group meetings and public forums, we sort of, given the circumstances here, it kind of made sense to just do more targeted focus groups. But, we really want to make sure that we're still hearing from kind of a wide range of stakeholders.
And the other groups are fine, but that, to me, they need to be protected. So that's my opinion. I would absolutely not want that. I would not want them to feel uncomfortable or to be put in a position where they were made to feel uncomfortable, or if they wanted it, their identity private, it should be. So to me, that one group we need to be very, very cautious and protect them. So that's just my opinion.
Absolutely.
I
Totally.
think we all agree on that.
So Sarah, do you want to pull up the list of people we'd identified, or like what makes most sense for kind of figuring out how to move forward?
You can do that.
You don't mean names, Emma, do you?
What?
Oh, okay. Yep. No, never mind. I can see it.
Yep. So, this is kind of the list that we've come up with, but, so we sort of had the first focus group meeting, there weren't too many people. I think we might see if we could put some other people who are in that board and committee who are kind of assigned to that first group, have them come to the second one.
Definitely, because we definitely had a few boarding committee members that, either couldn't attend that particular day, or we had two folks who wanted to attend that day, but something came up last minute. So we have at least 3 members who are really engaged, and want to jump in on one of these other ones. So that's a good news.
So there were some changes made on this list that are not reflected here. So do you want me to bring those changes up first?
Sure.
So Jason Malinowski, because Chelsea is with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund in the second group. We had suggested taking Jason's name out and adding Andrew Pfaff there. And I think it's Phaff. So the third one down in the first group, Jason Malinowski.
And Andrew is great.
And I think that should be Andrew Pfaff instead of Jason, because I don't think we want to have husband and wife.
It's Pfaff.
Yeah, PF. Okay.
And I'm just not editing this because I'm currently sharing a PDF. So I just.
Okay. The other question I had, advisory committee is not a stakeholder. they're not a stakeholder in housing. They have nothing to do with housing. So I don't think we need someone from advisory there.
That's fine. Oh, just one thing I would add about residents, you know, that can also include seniors who are in a position where they want to downsize now and they can't, you know, find options, really like all these populations we've talked about. You know, young people who might want to buy a house, who are renting here might want to buy a house, but they can't find something. So it can
Well, that's
really
a good
be,
idea.
yeah, it could really be anybody who would benefit from, you know, the types of housing that we're going to be promoting in our plan.
That's a good idea. Okay, then we had William Sines, who I believe did show up for the meeting, right?
Yep.
Okay, American Disabilities. And then we had Economic Development. Again, they're not a stakeholder in housing, so I would not include them. Does anybody have a? They have nothing to do with housing, so I don't think we need to have them involved. Elizabeth Kesselman from Taxation Aid Committee, that's a good fit.
And she's actually someone, sorry to interrupt, she's someone who just couldn't make it at the last minute on Friday, so she is committed to joining another group.
And then we have Marty from the MWRTA. Jesse Stein from Planning and
Yeah,
Shopc.
Jesse's misspelled, by the way. There's no I.
Fix that right away.
Hey, Dorian, you know,
Yes.
John is not here. My only, it just struck me on the Economic Development Committee. I mean, since a big part of the zoning change that just got approved related to, and EDC obviously was a big player in that, related to mixed use. I mean, I agree with you that in general terms, economic development doesn't include housing, but since mixed use was such a big part of the discussion about the zoning change, that maybe it's worth at least a question to John about whether or not he thinks that it makes sense for them to be a stakeholder. It's just a
Okay,
thought.
okay. Then leave them in. That's fine. Schools. I'm not, unless you're looking at, because teachers need housing. I don't understand where.
So
How-
schools, you know, just in my experience, like having worked in a municipality before, schools often have the button on this, like kind of what's going on in the students' lives. And sometimes they are aware of needs. You know, I don't really think there's a homelessness problem, but sometimes if kids are experiencing that, you know, it's the schools that know about it really more than any other town or city kind of group. So, you know, they're able to kind of give that perspective based on what they're seeing in you know, of their students. And then you do have, you know, the administration, I would assume, is concerned about, you know, being able to house their teachers and whatnot. So, you know, I think we'd want to hear from them in the same way that it's important to hear from kind of other.
So are you talking like the counselors or the principals, or I think we need to narrow down who we're going to contact and not just do a general, hey, everyone at the schools, come on in.
No, I would say
So-
probably, you know, the principal, you know, someone kind of at the head who can just kind of speak for everyone.
Okay.
Could it possibly be the person on the master plan committee who is currently, you know, involved with the master plan related to school aspects? Or do you think that's too isolated?
Do they work for the schools?
No, I think the principals would be more in tune with what the
Principals?
students are going through than the master plan person.
Yeah, and maybe Sarah can speak to the fact, I don't know if that person regularly attends the meetings.
Katura Martin is the current appointee to the master plan committee from the schools. She was active heavily early on, but I know that schools are also doing their long range planning and stuff, so we haven't seen as much of her lately. So I guess I would agree at this point that maybe someone who is a little bit more integrated into the system, because my understanding is she's more of like an administrative kind of person for them. might
Okay.
might be able to give a little more, maybe even like the school guidance counselor
Mhm.
might be a good person to attend and might have enough flexibility in their day to do so.
Yeah, the options of who can kind of fit that role are pretty wide, but ideally someone who works for the school and, has kind of regular contact with staff and students.
Okay. And then on CPC, well, Andrew's not on it. I don't know who Kathy is, but I would suggest Ben Smith for CPC contact. And then group 2, we have Doug Peck, Council on Aging, Chelsea Malinowski, Affordable Housing Trust Fund, Lynn Moreno, Housing Authority, and Shannon Kinyaman from Family Services. I don't know what SMOC is, and I don't know what other provider is referencing. So
we were just, kind of brainstorming on, who else provides community services to Southborough, if anyone. SMOC is the South Middlesex Opportunity Council. They have sort of a kind of a far reach in, Framingham and beyond. So I didn't know if they would be a good person to pull in. And again, just kind of other providers, if there's anyone else in town who's offering sort of supportive or kind of, community-based services, to folks who
Right,
may
people
know
who can speak to like the housing needs of the populations that they work with, or
right.
Sarah, do you know who the person is who deals with Southborough from SMOC?
No, I'm not really familiar. I mean, I had some understanding of their team over there a few years ago. So I do have a couple of contacts. I'm not sure who deals directly with Southborough, but I could reach out to them if that's someone who we'd like to engage with.
Would Sarah Kesselman, is it Kessel? Family Services.
She might know.
Sarah might
you know
know.
what I mean? Because yeah, she would be more familiar with that direct service provision. So
Okay.
and if it doesn't make sense to necessarily include someone from SMOC in the focus group, we could always just, reach out to them individually and just have a quick
For sure.
conversation.
Good.
Okay, and then, so we discussed about reaching out to the homeowners, the residents.
Yep.
And
so
Bonnie Fanick was at the first meeting, I believe.
Yep.
Too.
And so my suggestion for the residents focus group is probably to do that one last, or at least after we do the one with like housing service providers, because ideally that network might be able to identify some people that might want to talk with us. And if, we are able to connect with them through folks they already know, that might make them feel more comfortable.
Okay.
Agreed.
And then this last one is sort of developers, but also people who, are often kind of coming before the board. So, there might be some land use lawyers who are kind of familiar faces, or Sarah mentioned some engineering firms. So, those folks who kind of understand the development landscape and challenges and opportunities associated with that.
I was just curious on that group 4-1, if is it possible, is it acceptable for me to attend that meeting or hear it after the fact? Because I'm just particularly interested in the feedback and the insights from that group.
Yeah, I mean, we'll record the meetings,
Okay, thank you.
for our internal use. We won't post them publicly, but we could certainly share that one with you, or at the very least, the notes we take from it.
Yeah, Jesse, if you wanted to go to that group, I wouldn't have a problem with you going
Yeah.
to the group. I mean, you're on our planning board, so.
Yeah, that would be fine.
I think that's probably a really good idea for you to attend that one.
I think so too.
All right. So if this all looks good to you, I think we're kind of in a place to just start scheduling these for probably early January is what's going to happen. Because, I'll be starting we've sort of had a little bit of a pause while we figured out the approach for this. And I'm obviously all caught up with where John left off and kind of providing, some additional written materials to Sarah, but, in order to really, we can start on the opportunity analysis and kind of coming up with the different scenarios, but we really do need the public process to inform those. So the way the project is scoped was that we would come back to Shopc to present after we've done that stakeholder engagement and identified the different opportunities and scenarios. And then working with you, we would kind of narrow down to what scenario we want to move forward with and create the 5-year plan for.
Okay, Sarah, did you get all the notes on this list, who we added and comments and
Yes,
stuff?
yep,
And we can
yep.
get,
And so, yes.
we can
And so
update this
between-
list.
Mhm.
Okay, and then if you wouldn't mind, if we can get this out to the board, just so they have an updated list from our discussion today,
Okay, sure.
please, and thank you.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Great. Does anyone
Also,
else have any
Emma-
questions? Oh,
Yes,
sorry.
I have a quick question, Emma. The updated scope dated October 12th.
Yep.
Does that need to be re-executed?
Let me
Or
check
is
with
that just
that.
informative? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it does, because really what we need the signed scope for is processing the contract, which I believe has already been done.
It has been done.
Yeah. So that might not be necessary, but let me double check on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, thank you all for having me. This was great.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks
Letting
for
me
coming.
kind of chime into your conversation earlier.
That's okay, that was great. I didn't know you were there in the room. I would have brought you in earlier.
No problem.
So thank you, thank you.
One thing I'll briefly add on that conversation we were having earlier. Oh, and I have another thing to add regarding the MBTA guidance. So it seems like that might be getting released a little bit earlier. Well, I mean, it's later than we thought, but we were hearing it might not be
Exciting.
released like into 2022, but now it seems like it is going to be released this month. That's the latest and greatest that we've heard. Probably they'll release it like on the 23rd or something, like right before Christmas, but
No one reads it.
right. So, but that's what we've heard. That's when DHCD is planning to release it. And then the other thing I was just going to add, when looking at the moderate income, I would also look at rentals in that, because some of the solutions for kind of retaining naturally occurring affordable housing are mostly targeted, or a lot of them are targeted like specifically to rental properties, like things like notice of sale agreement and, notice of rent increase. Like there are different sort of policies that can be implemented there that can help promote.
So Madison Place would be a good add to that listing then, because that's all rentals over there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Great.
All right. Well, I hope you all have a great day.
Take care. Have a great holiday.
Bye. You too.
Bye, Emma.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Okay.
Emma.
Does anybody have anything else to add to anything we've discussed today at all that you thought of? Tom,
No,
lit up. No? Okay.
No, just taking myself off mute. That's
Okay,
all.
so we need our next meeting in January. Is there so we seem to be moving around between Wednesdays and Thursdays and now Monday. Is there a better day that we can kind of hone in on for the beginning of the next year? Is there one day that is really bad for anybody?
Not that I matter a whole lot because these are recorded, but I am working in the townhouse on Tuesdays and Thursdays, just an FYI.
Woohoo. Okay. Does Monday work for everybody?
I can do Mondays as long as there isn't a planning board meeting that night.
Okay.
that's kind of tough. Maybe we could go back to Wednesdays, or I don't know how Wednesday mornings for everybody.
I can go back to Wednesdays. Personnel board has been at noon on Wednesdays, which is fine, because I could do back-to-back meetings, but
That's sort of
if they move
back-to-back.
it to 8 o'clock,
Back to 8. Yeah, I like
you just
it.
have to kind of coordinate the weeks. I mean, I could do 1 week and then next week, so it should be fine. I don't mind going to Wednesdays. Does Wednesday work for everyone, Jesse?
The 19th does, the 5th and the 12th do not.
All right. The 19th of January. Oh, I have a haircut that morning. I can't do it.
Back to Mondays we go.
Okay, well, the 17th is Martin Luther King. I'm in Disney on January 10th.
24th?
How about, oh, the 12th doesn't work. Tuesdays doesn't work for Kate. But Kate, you can listen to the recording, right?
Yeah. Don't plan around me, definitely. I can record
Well,
things.
it's just, how about Tuesday, the 18th? Does that work for people?
Yep.
Yeah.
Any no's?
Actually, I'm gonna text John right now. I don't know if he's gonna get back to me, but at least he'll know. Just next meeting. 118. 22. Ooh.
118, and then
Is that at 8 or at 8:30?
which is better for you guys? Would you rather go to 8:30 or would you rather have it earlier?
8:30.
8:30, so let's make them 8:30 then. Marty, that's okay with you?
Oh, I hate to throw a wrench, but I cannot. I will be late on that day, on the 18th. I just noticed. I can jump in at 9 o'clock.
Okay. We'll just save all your stuff for you when you get on.
Thank you.
So February. So we're doing the 19th.
January.
Yeah, no, but I'm trying to
Ah.
schedule. Do you want to go to the 23rd for February on the Wednesday? Does that work?
Yep.
That way Kate can be there on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday.
That works.
Okay. Should we move to March 2 and try to get 3 months set up?
I would say yes. I would say no, because Tom and John are not here.
Well, we can change it, but at least we'll have something tentative.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. That's my
What do you
only,
think? I mean, at least we can
Thoughts?
always move it, but
that's fine. 23rd is good.
is that all right? I'll reach out. I'll send them a note right now too.
So did you say March 23rd as well?
I don't think we got the
Yes.
March yet.
March,
March 20.
March 23rd. So let me write these down. 3/23. And then we had February
23rd.
23. And then January. Where is it? 18th, I think. Yeah, January 18th.
If the
Yep.
plan is still to move forward with a warrant article for March town meeting, based on the article needing to be in final form the first week in February, will that one January meeting give you enough bandwidth to review a draft bylaw to be submitted to the Board of Selectmen who still need to look at it?
Probably
Just
not.
giving you a heads up so you don't run out of time.
Yeah, probably not.
So,
Well, we do that into, so it's February 4th. February 4th, right, Karina?
yeah, let me see. Hold on, I was gonna
All
say-
right, can you guys look at February 2nd? That puts us about 2 weeks after, and we can go through and make sure we like the wording.
I'm not available that day.
Because we're gonna have to vote to.
So please keep in mind that the articles will need to be in final form the first week in February. So you might consider.
Well, how about the Monday? Or how about the Tuesday, it's February 1st?
Jesse's giving a thumbs up.
Does that work? Okay,
So what did you pick? February
we'll
1?
go February 1st. That way, if we need to rewrite or revote or do whatever, we should be in good shape. It'll give us 2 meetings to work on it. Does that work for you,
Okay.
Marty? Okay. All right, so we're going January 18th,
Mhm.
February 1,
Yes.
and then we're to March 23rd, unless you guys want to move it up earlier in the month.
So you don't want one on February 23rd?
No, gonna take it
Okay.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
We,
I mean, it's
we
kind
either
of
may
long to
wanna
go.
keep- we either may want to keep the second one in February or move the March meeting up.
I was gonna
just-
move the March meeting up.
Okay, that, fine with
I
me.
think that's probably a better thing to
Because
do.
the town meeting is March 26th.
All right, how about March 9th, Wednesday, March 9th? Does that work? Okay, so we have one January 18th,
Mhm,
we have February 1,
mhm,
and March the 9th,
mhm.
all at 8:30.
Yes.
Okay, and if we have an issue.
I can't make March 9th, but I mean, given how difficult it seems to be to schedule, go ahead and proceed.
Okay, well, we may end up moving the March one anyway, Jesse, but I just wanted to have I mean, I won't have Tom and John either, but I just wanted to try to get a little bit of a schedule going for us so we could plan. So that may change. The March one may change, but the other 2, we need to work on the warrant article. So everyone's good with those?
So you could keep the February 23rd, just to point out, if you went January 18th, February 1st, February 23rd, that might give you a little bit of, I don't know, Sarah, what do you think? Diane? I'm just interjecting here because I'm looking
Yeah,
at the
no.
big picture. It doesn't need public hearing as far as planning board is concerned because it's not a zoning change, but
It makes sense to me. Whatever works for folks.
So do 2 meetings in February?
and then if you still need a third one before town meeting, you could schedule one in March at that time, possibly. Just my thoughts, just knowing how things.
The 23rd doesn't do us any good because the warrant article has to be in by the first week of February. So the
That's
23rd
true. That's
doesn't
right.
do us any good to put the 23rd back. So,
Okay, you're right. I
and then
didn't think of
we're meeting right now, the beginning of March. So we should be good. I don't think we
Yeah.
need the 23rd.
that.
I think we
Makes
just
sense.
need 118 and 2-1.
Okay,
And tentatively March 9th, but that may change. Let's at least hold it for now. Everybody good? Okay, I am going to close our meeting. We'll
Oh, no,
have
you
a
have minutes. Sorry,
motion. I'm sorry?
you have minutes to approve. Sorry, you didn't do them at the
Don't be
beginning.
sorry,
I don't want to send any more, those hate mails, those requests.
right? Must get your
Oh,
minutes
I
out.
completely missed the minutes at the top of the agenda. Okay, does anybody have any questions, comments, or discussion about the minutes from the last meeting? Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes from September 14th? Somebody want to move that motion?
So moved.
Seconded by anyone?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Roll call vote. Alex? You got to put your mic on, Alex.
Aye.
Okay, Marty?
Recuse.
Okay, Tom?
Aye.
Jesse?
Right,
Dorian, I. Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting?
so moved.
Second.
Okay, second. Okay, roll call vote. Alex?
Aye.
Marty?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Jesse?
Right.
Dorian, I. Okay, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday.